Hi everyone, Nemo here. Welcome back to my channel, and if you're new here, I hope you'll subscribe and stick around. Today, we're looking at an interview between BBC journalist John Sweeney and Elder Holland. It's from a BBC documentary around the Mitt Romney Presidential Campaign, and it was pieced up throughout the show, so I've taken every interview clip from the show and strung them together so we can go through them. With that said, let's get to it.
Apostles rarely speak to the media, but I get to meet one of the Quorum of 12, Elder Holland.
Joseph Smith got these papyri and he translated them, and subsequently, as the Egyptologists cracked the code, something completely different.
All I'm saying is that what got translated into the Word of God. The vehicle for that, I do not understand and don't claim to know, and know no Egyptian.
Elder Holland is leaving space for apologists to make the catalyst argument. It doesn't matter what was on the papyri, the Book of Mormon is still the Word of God.
As a matter of historical fact, was Joseph Smith convicted of being a con man in 1826?
I have no idea.
There's a court record in New York. And we've got an email of it.
There's a good deal of difficulty in the early frontier life in America, but that's an incidental matter to the character and integrity of the man.
There's a good deal of difficulty in the early frontier life in America, but that's an incidental matter to the character and integrity of the man. Someone's criminal record, apparently, is incidental to their character and integrity. I would argue being convicted of a crime is pertinent to someone's character and integrity.
Since that interview, the church has written, saying no charges against Smith ever prevailed.
Let's look at the 1926 trial. What the church says on its website is more nuanced than the statement that they just gave, which said no charges prevailed. They say on their website, the outcome of the hearing remains a puzzle. A purported court record indicates the judge found Joseph Smith guilty. A neighbour of Josiah Stowell claimed the court condemned Joseph but allowed him to escape on account of his youth. A friend of the judge, who claimed to have taken notes at the hearing, wrote that the judge accepted Stowell's testimony and discharged Joseph. Oliver Cowdery, who did not attend the hearing, he met Joseph Smith about 3 years later, mentioned the most likely result, in light of missing documentation, that Joseph was acquitted of being a disorderly person. It's far more nuanced. This is far from definitively saying no charges prevailed. It is unclear, apparently, but that means that no definitive outcome can be declared like the church did in their statement.
Let's talk about Mitt Romney.
Okay.
The man who may well become the most powerful man on earth.
Mm-hmm.
As a Mormon in the temple, I've been told, he would have sworn an oath to say that he would not pass on what happens in the temple, lest he slit his throat. Is that true?
That's not true.
That's a lie, Elder Holland. Prior to April 1990, the LDS endowment ceremony contained penalties associated with breaking temple covenants, one of which is a covenant never to reveal certain things that you learn in the temple. I personally, during my own time as a temple worker in the London temple, spoke about these things with older temple workers who had received their endowment pre-1990. As Mitt Romney also took out his endowments pre-1990, he would have made an oath, or promise, to never reveal the things he had learned under pain of the penalty. Just caught Elder Holland in a bit of a lie there. That a whopper.
It's not true. We do not have penalties in the temple.
You used to.
We used to.
Therefore, he swore an oath saying, I will not tell anyone about the secrets here, lest I slit my throat.
The use of the present tense to try and justify the lie is quite interesting by Elder Holland. He says we do not have penalties in the temple. He's trying to ground it in now. But John Sweeney, rather than jump on the lie, calmly reaffirms what he's trying to ascertain and helps Elder Holland become grounded in the correct time frame that they're used to.
Well, the vow that was made...
Hang on, sorry, I gotta stop again. The vow that was made, the vow that Elder Holland just emphatically denied ever taking place, that one,
was regarding the ordinance of the temple.
It sounds Masonic, sir. It sounds Masonic.
Well, it's similar to a Masonic relationship.
Elder Holland tries to soften the blow by placing the emphasis on the word ordinance, trying to distance things from the throat slitting. John Sweeney points out something which Elder Holland can't deny, that there are similarities between the temple rituals and Masonry. You can check out my video covering the church's attempt to reconcile these similarities here.
Potentially the most powerful man in the world has sworn an oath, which he meant at the time, whatever it is now, that he must not tell anyone about what he's seen, lest he slit his throat.
That he would not tell anyone about his personal pledge to the Lord. I'm assuming that any religious candidate, an evangelical, a Roman Catholic, Rick Santorum, Newt Gingrich, President Obama, I'm assuming that anybody who has a relationship to God has made a pledge of some kind to God. There'd be some kind of loyalty to God, or what kind of a God is that?
John Sweeney really hammers home this point about the penalty in the temple, and I feel like it backs Elder Holland into a bit of a corner, hence the appeal to popularity he makes by listing other religious politicians, as well as the Freudian slip in calling Barack Obama Osama.
I want to find out more about the mysterious Strengthening Church Members Committee. Off to the church to meet its chief spokesman and the mastermind behind the I Am a Mormon campaign, Michael Purdy.
What's the Strengthening Church Members Committee, and does it still exist?
I don't know, and I'm not. I guess that's a question not for me. I couldn't tell you that. I don't know.
You're the head of media relations for the church.
Right.
And I've spoken to people, ex-members of the church, who say the Strengthening Church Members Committee does exist. Does it still exist?
I've heard that, yeah, there is a Strengthening Church Members Committee, but I couldn't tell you the details of how that works, but we'd be happy to provide someone that can.
Sorry for my confusion. When I originally asked you, you weren't sure. Now you do know that it exists, and you will give me somebody who knows something about it.
Absolutely.
As a Brit, I'm so proud of the way John Sweeney handles this. It's a very British way to do it, to apologise for our misunderstanding when we're clarifying someone else's position. He confirms, and has Michael Purdy agree to, the fact that Michael Purdy initially lied and then backpedaled. This is the second example of someone lying to John Sweeney, and he just remains calm until he gets to the bottom of things, so kudos to him.
So on the Strengthening Church Members Committee, the spokesman for the Mormon Church couldn't give me a satisfactory answer. Maybe the apostle could.
What is the Strengthening Church Members Committee?
The Strengthening the Church Members Committee was born some years ago to protect predatory practices of polygamists.
I asked what is it?
Well, that's what it is. It is to protect.
So it does still exist?
It does still exist. It does still exist.
And it looks at, it's there to defend the church against polygamists?
Principally.
And kudos to Elder Holland here as well for giving a straight answer. John Sweeney incorrectly assumes that Elder Holland was talking past tense and quickly clarifies that the committee does indeed exist present tense. However, John Sweeney is back on strong intellectual form when he actually makes a steel man of Elder Holland's remarks. Elder Holland initially said, "The Strengthening Church Members Committee was born some years ago to protect predatory practices of polygamists." This is clearly not what Elder Holland meant. He meant it was to protect from predatory practices of polygamists, as he later clarifies. And John Sweeney restates the argument in the correct way, so this isn't gotcha journalism. John Sweeney's helping Elder Holland out. The Deseret News explained in more detail what the Strengthening Church Members Committee is. Elder Oaks said that disciplinary decisions ranging from probation to excommunication are meted out by bishops and stake presidents. He explained that local leaders are informed by church headquarters about members who may possibly be violating church standards. The church's Strengthening the Members Committee pores over newspapers and other publications and identifies members accused of crimes, preaching false doctrine, criticizing leadership, or other problems. That information is forwarded on to the person's bishop or stake president, who is charged with helping them overcome problems and stay active in the church.
That is still the principal task.
And what is its subsidiary task?
I suppose just to be protective generally, just to watch and care for any insidious influence. But for all intents and purposes, all that I know about it is primarily to guard against polygamy. That would be the substantial, essential part of their work. I'm not on that committee, so I can't speak.
Does the Mormon Church shun people who leave?
No, no, of course we don't. We don't use that word, and we don't know that practice.
Elder Holland has a tick of touching his scriptures when he's uncomfortable, and this interview is clearly not comfortable for him. I don't know who set this up or approved the interview, but my gut feeling is Elder Holland certainly wasn't sufficiently prepared for it, maybe through no fault of his own.
If I had a son this very day, given the office that I have and the visibility that means, if I had a son or a daughter who left the church or was alienated or had a problem, I can tell you I would not cut that child out of family life.
I want to give Elder Holland the benefit of the doubt here and say he's being sincere. And it's certainly a message I'd like to hear from church leadership more often, rather than the talk of unruly children and the like that we've heard recently from Elder Uchtdorf and others.
You baptize people after death.
Uh-huh.
Why?
Because we believe that in the justice and mercy of God, everybody ought to have a chance for salvation.
But you baptize Holocaust victims.
Not anymore. For the same reason, the same conversation would be held with anyone. This is an invitation.
But if you were Jewish and your grandfather or grandmother was killed in the Holocaust because they were Jewish, doesn't it seem somewhat insensitive to rebaptize them as a Mormon?
We've already been through that, and we've agreed to the insensitivity, and so we've ceased. We've ceased doing that. But it was never meant to be an offense. It was never meant to be anything that would claim them away from their Judaism. In time and in eternity, the freedom was to choose if you chose to have this offer. It's the same offer we'd make to a Jewish citizen or a Muslim or anybody else today is, if you were interested, if you wanted this, you may step forward and claim it.
Some critics say you still are.
We're not with our blessing, not with our effort, we're not.
There are two sides to this, if I can just put my Orthodox Mormon hat on for a moment. John Sweeney is implying that baptism for the dead changes the religion of the person for whom it was done. Elder Holland counters, in alignment with the understanding of most church members, that baptism for the dead is simply an invitation to those who have died to accept the LDS Church in their spiritual form. However, taking my Orthodox hat off, I can see the flaw in this viewpoint. Imagine you're dead, and your spirit is, well, wherever it is, and some angel comes up and ministers to you about the LDS Church. With that as an accepted reality, would you not think that those spirits would probably feel quite the pull to renounce their earthly religion and join the LDS Church?
We did talk to a number of people who've left the church, more than 30, and there is a massive gap between what they've told me and what you're telling me.
Well, when we all get together, that'd help. If you'll give me that list, and if you want to sit with us, let's go get them together and let's talk.
What they said to me, that they believe the Mormon Church is a cult. They believe it's a cult like the Church of Scientology, but actually it's smarter and more powerful.
Well, I guess if that's what they believe, it's probably a good thing they chose to leave it, because we're not a cult.
This is a key claim Elder Holland has just made. I can't think of any other times when church leadership have directly denied being a cult. So let's have a look at what evidence he presents to back up the claim that the LDS Church is not a cult. Also, it's interesting that he says it's probably a good thing that they left the church. This is showing that there isn't really room in the church for those that dissent or disagree or criticize.
I'm not an idiot. You know, I've read a couple of books and I've been to a pretty good school. And I have chosen to be in this church because of the faith that I feel and the inspiration that comes.
No, I'm not calling you a cult. I'm just saying that I've met people who used to be in the church.
I've met people. And if people want to call us a cult, they can call us a cult and you can call us a cult. But we are 14 million and growing. And I'd like to think that your respect for me would be enough to know that this man doesn't seem like a dodo.
Elder Holland makes personal appeals surrounding his own intelligence, another appeal to popularity by stating the size of the membership of the church, and just generally doesn't provide any tangible evidence that the church is not a cult. He doesn't really refute the claim made by those that John Sweeney has spoken to. The claim that he's not an idiot seems to imply that those in cults are idiots. I would argue, given the level of manipulation cults employ, they can pull in some pretty smart people, and the leaders of the cults are usually very clever, in order to sway people in. And finally, he calls into question the respect which the interviewer has for him, which is almost an ad hominem attack on John Sweeney by taking offence at a personal insult that was never offered. Cheers for joining me. Let me know in the comments if I missed anything, and if you liked the video, give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe. Bye now.